Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express to the most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 16th of December. The first important news that is Kerala University Law Amendment Bill. This is from the text and context page of the Hindu. There was a lot of controversy with regards to the office of governor and with regards to the power of the vice chancellor. So this bill again is important for the mains and prelims examination. Second, state can enact laws on uniform civil code. This is what the law minister has said in the parliament. Third, Agni 5 nuclear capable missile test fired. Fourth, center to set borrowing limits for the state. And the last is an editorial and accessible data. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. Starting the session with the first news, that is Understanding Kerala University Law Amendment Bill 2020. Basically, this is 2022. So what is important in this bill and how it is relevant for the general studies paper? It is important for general studies paper 2 under the subtopic that is Parliament and State Legislature, Structure, Functioning, Conduct of Businesses, Power and Privileges and Issues arising from it. So the Kerala government has passed 2 University Law Amendment Bill in the State Assembly to amend the law related to the governance of state university and to remove the incumbent governor of Kerala as a chancellor of the university, right? So this is a special between the power that is there between the governor and the state government. So the state government has come up with the bill which will restrain the governor from acting as a chancellor to the state universities. Now, what is the provision under this bill? The bill proposes the legislation will amend the status of 14 universities that is established by the State Legislative Act in Kerala and remove the governor as an capacity to work as office of chancellor, right? So chancellor की capacity से governor अब work नहीं कर पाएंगे इस bill के पास होने के बाद. The bill will give government power to appoint the eminent academician as a chancellor to the universities, thus ending the governor as a watchdog role in the university administration. So now the government will have a say and they will appoint an individual who is there from the academics. An eminent academician will be the part of the chancellor. And now the governor will not be acted as a watchdog for the entire university administration. Now, the controversy here is like, will this decision of the Kerala government will call for all other states in India to take such decision, because that is again a dispute that might arise in any other states in the country. The bill also provides the provisions to limit the term of the appointment for the chancellor for 5 years. Now, this bill will call for a permanent appointment for a minimum of 5 years, right? Earlier, basically अगर maximum person the age limits की बात करें, earlier it was 60 years and now it has been raised to 65 years. So maximum age limit to a person to be appointed as vice chancellor has been raised to 65 from earlier 60 as per the new latest bill, the amendment bill. Now, why is the state government amending the universities law? As I've told you first, that they want the governor not to act as a capacity of overall administrator for the state universities. And the Minister of Law in Kerala, while tabled the bill, has pointed out that UGC की जो guideline है, which earlier used to consider mandatory for the central universities and partially mandatory and partially directive for the state universities, has made a legal binding of all universities by the way out of the recent ruling of the Supreme Court. So they said that they're adhering to the guideline of the UGC and even the directive that was given by the Supreme Court in this regard. Moreover, the state government has claimed the recommendations of the Punchi commissions on the center-state relation. This is again an important point. Even you can use this in mains examination as an example, right? So to refrain the burdening the governor with the positions and power which are not envisaged in the constitution and which may lead to the office to controversy of public criticism as a rationale behind this bill. सो अगर कैटेगोरिकली बात करें गवर्नर के पावर्स में ये सारी चीज़ें बेसिकली कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली नहीं है. This is a kind of protocol that is being followed, right? It's a convention that is being followed. तो पुंची कमीशंस के recommendations के मुताबिक जहाँ पे गवर्नर को ओवरलोड करने की बात नहीं कही गई है, कुछ ऐसे पावर्स जहाँ पे कंट्रोवर्सी अराइज हो सकते हैं उससे रिफ्रेन करने की बात की गई है. सो the Kerala government has said that they are adhering to the recommendations given by the Punchi commissions. Now, argument against the bill would give the state government more leeway in appointing its own nominee as the vice chancellor of the state university. Definitely, the incumbent government will have a say when it's come to the appointment of the vice chancellor and chancellors. This would means the transfer of power over the university administration from governor to the UGC or the state government. Now, even the amendment will facilitate the appointment of the people close to the ruling front. So, this is a suspicious argument against this bill. Now, moving to the other news, state can enact laws on uniform civil code, something important for general studies paper 2 under the subtopic, that is the functions and responsibility of union and states, issues and challenges pertaining to the federal structure of our country. Recently, the Union Law Minister has informed the Parliament that the states are empowered to enact a personal law that will decide issues such as succession, marriage, divorce, and endeavors to secure the uniform civil code. तो यूसीसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए जो यूनियन लॉ मिनिस्टर है उसने उन्होंने क्लियर किया है दैट द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट विल हैव अ से एंड दे कैन हैव देयर ओन पॉलिसी कंसिडरिंग द फैक्ट दैट द लॉ एंड ऑर्डर इज मेंटेन्ड इन द स्टेट्स. The minister made this remark in a reply to the question that was posed by the opposition member, and the member has asked whether the center was aware of the state formulating its own law with respect to the Uniform Civil Code. तो ये बातें पार्लियामेंट में कही गई कि क्या यूनियन लॉ मिनिस्ट्री इसके बारे में इस चीज से नोटिफाइड है, are they aware of the fact? The minister has categorically said that yes, we are aware and the state has the power that they can come up with the laws which is aligned to the Uniform Civil Code. Now, what is the constitutional provision here? This is again important for the prelims examination, and even if you're writing in mains paper, an analytical question can be framed from this particular topic. Now, under Article 44 of the Indian Constitution, this provides that the state shall endeavor to secure the citizen a uniform civil code through the territory of India. This is what is already enshrined in the Constitution. And Article 37, that the state shall endeavor by suitable legislation, while the phrase suitable legislation is absent on Article 44. The personal law such as intestacy, successions, will, joint family, partitions, marriage and divorce are related to entry 5 of the 3, that is list 3 in the concurrent list, which is there in the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution, and hence the state also empowered to legislate upon them. Now, states on Uniform Civil Code. Uttarakhand formed the first setup of the panel to explore the possibilities of common civil code. The Gujarat government has also announced the intention of doing so just ahead of its assembly elections. Now, what is the purpose of Uniform Civil Code? The UCC aims to provide protections to the vulnerable section as envisaged by Dr. Ambedkar, including the women and religious minorities, which will also promote for nationalistic fervors through the unity. So these were some of the main priorities that was highlighted by Dr. Ambedkar. Now, when enacted the code, it will work to simplify the laws that are segregated by the present religious belief, rules and regulation, right? We have a separate rules code for Hindu that is called Hindu Code Bill. Then for Muslim, we have Shariat law and other bills that regulate. Now, the government wanted that there should be a uniformity of law that will prevail for each and every religion that is there in India. Now, the code will simplify the complex laws such as marriage ceremonies, inheritance, succession, adoptions, making all of them into one. Now, the same civil law, which then will be applicable to all citizens, irrespective of their faith and religion. Now, looking into the other parts of the Uniform Civil Code, they cover the areas like marriage, right? This is the first part that will be covered under this. So, marriage, divorce, maintenance, inheritance, adoptions, and succession are the part of the bill. If you look into the timeline of the Uniform Civil Code in 1954, a passage of Special Marriage Act provide the permissions for the civil marriage above the religious present. And in 1956, Hindu Code Bill was passed. In 1986, Rajiv Gandhi government has come up with the Sah Bano case, widening the difference in the civil rights. And in 2003, then President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam supported the Uniform Civil Code, and the Supreme Court asserted a need for the basically UCC, that is Uniform Civil Code, in 2015. So this is the timeline and how the UCC demand has evolved over the time. So now it's the government to decide. It's a complicated issue. It's a sentimental issue because it's something that called for and congregations of all the religious faith. So it will take a course of action, and government will take the stakeholders' opinion before they come up with the rules. But the union government, the Ministry of Law, has categorically said that the state are empowered to formulate the law that is aligned with the Uniform Civil Code. Now, moving to the other news, Agni 5 nuclear capable missile test fired, something important for General Studies paper 3, under the subtopic that is achievement of India in science and technology, Indianization of technology, and development of new technology. In a major boost to defense sector, India has recently successfully carried out the night trials of Agni 5 nuclear capable ballistic missile. And this nuclear capable ballistic missile is developed by Defense Research and Development Organization, that is DRDO. The indigenous missile was tested at defense facility from Abdul Kalam Island and Odisha coast. Many a times for government and other competitive examination, the name and the venue become important. So make sure you are remembering all these things. Earlier, the missile was tested in 2012. Subsequently, the test was conducted in 13, 15, 16, 18, and 21. Now, success at the crucial time, as we have seen that the India and Chinese soldiers are engaged the face-off in Arunachal Pradesh Tongshan sector. So all Chinese soldiers retreated India, and India have decided to send a stern message with the Chinese showcasing its preparedness by initiating Indian Air Force combat exercise and now the trial of the long-awaited Agni 5 missile. As per the sources, ahead of the test, the authorities has issued the notification regarding a declaration which was made that within the Bay of Bengal region territory, there will be no flying zone. Now, features of Agni 5 missile. The missile has strike range of 5,500 kilometers. This is some of the precise details about the Agni missile, important for your prelims examination, and even those of you who are preparing for CAPF examination, for them also it is important. So it has a 5,500 kilometers of the strike range. Weapons up to 1.5 ton can be carried out in the advanced missile with length of 10.5 meters and the breadth of 1.5 meters. India has long planned the test of Agni 5 missile, and it will be fifth in the series of the medium long range nuclear capable ballistic missile that has been developed by India. Agni 5 missile has also the capacity to launched via submarines. An Agni 5 project is aimed at enhancing India's nuclear deterrence against China, which has a missile called Dongfeng 41, right? And the range is 12,000 kilometers and 15,000 kilometers. So definitely it's double or triple the capacity that Agni 5 has. But nevertheless, India is also striving and bets to build a state-of-art missile system in the country. Now, talking about other features, as I've told you, the operational range is 5,500 kilometers and it varies between 8,000 kilometers. Weight is 50,000 kg. Length is 17.5 meters. Diameter is 2 meters. Speed is 24 Mach. Engine is 3-stage solid. This is again important for prelims examination. Many a times UPSC tend to ask the stages of the missile. And nuclear warhead is of 1,500 kg, right? So this was test fired at Apti Plus Island in Odisha. And there are other Agnis, Agni 1, Agni 2, 3 and 4, and their capabilities are like 700 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers, 3,500 kilometers, and 4,000 kilometers. For more details, you can take this screenshot of this picture so that you can have a revision on that. Now, moving to the other news, Center to set borrowing limits for the state, something important for General Studies Paper 3, that is Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, and development. So the center has set the borrowing limit for the state for the financial year 24 at 3.5% of the gross state's domestic produce, including 50 basic point that is linked to the power. तो total 4% allow की गई है, but जिसमें 50 basic point dedicated होनी चाहिए power sectors के लिए. This is in sync with the fiscal path recommended by the 15th Finance Commissions. And some of the states have demanded higher ceiling for the next year. Officials said that the center would rather stick to the fiscal consolidation part. And as the COVID-19 induced higher borrowing by the states under increased limit for the financial year 21 and 22, and the raise and their debt level as well. Of course, the state did not exhaust all the additional borrowing that was given. So space even during the COVID-19 was maintained. So the amount that is already left with the state exchequer can also be utilized. This is what the central government has categorically noted. Now, the demand from the states in a pre-budget meeting with the Union Finance Minister, Bihar के जो Minister है Finance Minister, he said that the borrowing limit for the state should be at least 4% of the state GDP. And the center has set up the borrowing limit of 3.5%, and additional 50 basic points window will only be there once the state is investing in the power sector. So the total will be 4%, and even the Tamil Nadu has sought the higher borrowing for the next fiscal year. तो बिहार और तमिलनाडु ऐसे स्टेट है जिन्होंने ज़्यादा परसेंटेज की डिमांड की. Now, what is the Finance Commission recommendation in this regard? अगर FC की recommendations की बात करें, fiscal deficit should be limited to 4% for this year. For financial year 2023, it is 3.5%, and for 24 to 26, it has recommended only 3%. But then also, the central government is allowing 3.5% plus 0.5% or a 50 basic point for the power sector as well. So in total, this will be allowed by 4%. Now, if the state is unable to fulfill the utilization of the census borrowing limit during the first 4 years, it can avail the unutilized borrowing amount in the subsequent year as well. Extra annual borrowing worth 0.5% of the state GDP was recommended during the first 4 years to take upon the power sector's reform. Now, annual borrowing worth of 0.5 of the state GDP will recommend a state during the first 4 years undertaking the power reform. And the reform include the reductions in operational losses, that is the revenue gap, payment of the cash subsidy, adopting the direct benefit transfer and terrace subsidy as a percentage of revenues. Now, objective की बात करें, this will aid the state to bridge the resource gap due to the COVID-19 repercussions and less collection of the taxes and on the revenues, as well as to improve the quality of expenditures. The aggregate debt of the state has touched 15-year high of 31% of the GDP for financial year 21. So during the COVID-19, even the state were not making money, and they've asked for the permissions that they should be allowed with the cess, and even they should be using the state GDP for the other expenses. Now, talking about the tranches of the amount that was given by the central government, right? For the first part, the government has allocated 5,94,550 crore rupees. For the second part, it allowed 3,10,000 crore rupees. Then another part, 1,50,000 crore rupees, and again was 1,92,800 crore rupees, right? So, and other parts include the part of 48,100 crore rupees. So the central government has aided the state government as an economic aid during the COVID-19 pandemic as well. And these were counted as the Atmanirbhar Bharat package. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, and accessible data, something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design and implementations. So what are the issues under this editorial? Before we reach out to the issues, just look at the theme. The theme of this editorial is New Data Protection Bill, and some of the important issues include the major stakeholders in the revised bill, two aspects of this bill: need for penalties that will be there and the way forward. So we'll be looking into the important issues that is relevant for the examination purposes. Now, India quest for comprehensive data privacy law has begun way back in 2010 with the formation of Justice SK कमिटी, और आप कह सकते हैं जस्टिस श्री कृष्णन कमिटी जब बनी थी उन्होंने रिकमेंडेशंस दिया था कि डेटा प्राइवेसी इंडिया में काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड इवन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन इट्स केस पुट्टास्वामी केसेस हैज categorically said that the right to privacy is a fundamental right. The committee report led a string of data privacy bill in 2018, 2019 and 21, each of which is presented itself as slightly modified version of the predecessors, right? Recently, in August, the government withdraws the bill about 3 months later in November, and it has released the fourth iterations of the data privacy legislation, and the name is the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2022. So the government has finally come up with a revamped version, and these versions are actually helping to set targets to the government and also to ensure that data privacy of individual is given the priority. Now, the major stakeholder in this bill, basically there are two major stakeholders. The first is data principal and third is a data fiduciary. So data principal की बात करें, it's referred to subject whose data is being processed. कोई इंडिविजुअल भी हो सकती है, कोई एंटिटी हो सकती है. डेटा फिड्यूसरी की बात करें, इट इज एन एंटिटी दैट प्रोसेस द डेटा. सो दिस विल बी टेकिंग द रिकॉर्ड. द एंटिटी इन्वॉल्व इन दिस पार्ट विल बी द डेटा फिड्यूसरी. The term fiduciary is referring to the data processing as significant. The term originates from the word fiducia or the trust. Now, in line with the philosophy, the rest of the bill describes the obligations of the data fiduciaries towards the data principal and the right and duties of the latter, and the regulatory framework through the data will be processed. Now, while the bill lies the duties data principal, these are no bearing on the realizations of the right provided by the bill. तो कुछ जो स्टेक होल्डर्स है रिवाइज्ड बिल में उनको रिवैम्प की, और मेजर टू स्टेक होल्डर्स डेटा प्रिंसिपल एंड डेटा फिड्यूशरी इज द पार्ट ऑफ इट. इफ यू राइटिंग इन मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, make sure you write about all the details of this. Now, though aspect has bill में, the first is the additional general obligations to prevent the misuse of personal data of individual. The bill has outlined the category of significant data fiduciaries that is entitled, that is equipped to comply with an additional measures safeguard and personal data individual. And the second is onerous provision, that is with regards to the data localizations. In previous version of the bill, that is mandated to the companies to store data only within India, that has been omitted, right? So these are some of the omission that has been made in the new bill, and the revoked bill permits the government to notify government to which the data transfer may be permitted. Now, this is a major respite of the several state tech companies who have talked long about the infeasibility of the data localization provisions. Now, what is the ambit of this bill? The bill applies to the personal data collected from the users and data collected offline but later digitalized. And the act exclude the personal data processed by an individual for the personal or domestic purposes, recorded personal data in its extent for the at least for 100 years. Now, need for penalties. This is what is suggested in this editorial. The bill must ensure that the penalties that is imposed are proportional to the size and operation of the company. To be effective, the fine must not drive companies into economic loss. तो फाइन ऐसी होनी चाहिए जो कंपनी को ड्रेन आउट भी नहीं करे, बट इतनी कम भी नहीं होनी चाहिए कि उस पेनाल्टी की कोई मतलब ना हो. And a leaf can be from the European Union General Data Protection Regulation among the similar regulation who levies the penalties in accordance with the total turnover of the companies, right? So this is the penalty part that has been suggested under this editorial. Now, the way forward, the bill make a significant shift in the manner of drafting a legislation. The bill has a transition from the legalize of legal simplification. So if the bill is revised, it will definitely ensure there is no complexity that is still existing. The bill safeguard individual data and also promote cooperations between the data fiduciaries and the government. And it draws up the best practices of foreign jurisdiction, चाहे वो यूरोप की बात हो, ऑस्ट्रेलिया की बात हो, and even for many other countries, it has made a tailor-made requirement as per India's need. And even the exemptions granted to the state are extremely restrictive in sync with the past judicial precedents and Article 19 of the Indian Constitution. So this is how this will actually functions. And some of the provision that is there in the constitution should be the spirit to the larger extent with the practical implications of it. So this is the way forward of this editorial. Now, moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, also the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice. Now, new umbrella entities for retail payment. This was there in the news, and this is by the RBI regulations as well. So only those entities that are allowed and controlled by the Indian citizen with at least 3 years of experience can be the part and promoters of NUEs. No foreign investment is allowed in the NUE with existing guideline. Now, the second is with regards to electoral bond. Recently, India has witnessed election in two major states of Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. So, electoral bond topic become important. All nationalized in India Bank and authorized to issue in cash the bond that is valid for 15 days from the date of issuance. These bonds are remittable at designated account of the registered political parties. So do check out for the correct option. This type of topics and questions will definitely give you an edge for the upcoming prelims examination. Practicing a lot more question will help you and sharpen your concepts. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.